you are not a profitable trader, or you win a little here and there, or your trades looks like this or this, right? Then this market structure, trading strategy, which helps me to get trades like this and this, is going to help you become more profitable. So in this video, I will review everything, right, on how to spot winning trades and how to actually use market structure, strategy, right, to know when to get in and out on them. Step by step, of course, we look at the foundation and then we look at some live case studies as well. So let's dive into it right now as to what exactly is market structure.
So let's look at this stock right over here on my screen, and you can see that this stock has been moving in a pretty strong uptrend, right? But before we talk about the trend or the prices and all that, let's dive into what exactly is a market structure. So when we look at the structure of the stock, first of all, we want to know if the stock is forming what we call higher lows and higher highs, right? So very simple, you can see that when we plot any single stock, we want to look at a bigger picture, right? We don't want to just dive into, like a few days or like 2 weeks of the bars, and we don't really get an opinion on how the stock is doing in the longer term, like over a 6 months to a year period. So if we can just zoom out, and this is what I see basically for this particular stock. So if we look at a longer term, you can see that this stock has been in a pretty strong, I would say, longer term uptrend just by looking at the lows, right? Looking at lows right away, you can see it forms higher lows, right? Higher lows as we move up over the past one of a year. So in terms of higher lows, well, that's a sign of the market structure being in an uptrend. So as long as we stay, above these lows, or as long as the lows gets higher, well, that would be a good thing. So in this case, right, you can see that this stock is in a longer term uptrend just by looking at these lows and lows and lows. Of course, over the past week, we saw some weakness. I'll come to that in a bit, but in general, I would say that this stock is in a longer term uptrend. And just by these lows, right, that is the first sign of how we can use market structure. And next, what we want to do is that we want to look at, in terms of, the longer term trend, we'll look at how we can actually draw a line connecting the low. So if I could just draw a line right over here, you can see, right, that connects the low. So, it's the low right over here, the first low, second low, third low, fourth low. And of course, you can see that we kind of broke below this channel support. So this line connects the low. This is what we call a channel support line. So there is something like what we call a break of structure, because all this while we have been rebounding from this channel support line 1, 2, 3, 4, but we went below. So there's a little bit of a break of structure, because there's a few more confirmations that we can look out for, but essentially we are seeing a little bit of weakness because of a break of structure of this particular stock. All right, and next, let's move on to, in terms of the short-term ups and downs, right? Are we able to actually take a look at the lows and highs? So you can see that over here, for this particular stock, right, we actually have a period of weakness as well. So let me just wait to show you how we can spot a break of structure in terms of a reversal from a downward trend to an upward trend. So same thing here, you can see that somewhere around August to maybe November 2023, right? So you can see this is the high, and the high became lower. So we talk about higher looks, right, whereby a stock is moving up in the longer term, but in the short term, we could actually see a bit of weakness, and we could form what we call lower highs. Look at this, right? So the highs actually gets lower, right? So if I just remove all this, you can see that we can actually draw a line connecting this lower highs, right? And that would be what we call a channel resistance level. So there is a little bit of the structure right here, because you see, right, we formed lower highs, it came down, we came down, but finally, all right, right over here, we broke above, all right, this little channel resistance. Of course, combining it with some other confirmation that we have as well, that could be a good reversal move. And look at this, right, it started to push all the way up. So not just, higher lows, but we can also use in terms of the structure, all right, looking at lower highs as well. And after looking at the lower highs, we want to try our best to draw a line that connect the lower highs, right? And of course, this will be a red channel resistance. And then let's show you again, right? You can see right over here, I can draw another line. So the kind of zooming in, all right, to a period of time. So you can see right over here, after breaking above this channel resistance, we form back higher low. So this was the low, right? So we form higher lows. And of course, based on all these lows, what you could do is the same thing to draw a line, upward sloping line, something like that, right? Something like that. They will be a green line, there'll be a green line. That is pretty much a channel support. So there's a break of structure from a downtrend to an uptrend, because now instead of lower highs, we are actually forming higher lows, right? Look at this, right? So rebounded. But finally, look at this right over here, right? We actually, saw a break of structure right over here as we went below the channel support line. So it doesn't mean once it breaks below the channel support line means it will crash and stuff, but it is just a break of structure. It's a break of it, kind of like very consistently pushing higher, all right, and forming higher highs and higher lows. No, it did not happen. We went below, all right, and the highs did not get higher, all right, and the lows, well, the lows was not really lower as well. The lows was pretty much the same. I mean, we might have found a bit of a support here. You can see it started to move a little bit sideways. So if I can draw, all right, another support line, so that would be like a support line. So it's a horizontal support line whereby it moves up, down. So we have a channel support that connects the lows and prices stays above it. It's good. But as we break this structure, well, so we could do two things. Right? First thing is that we could turn into a downtrend, right? Something like this, right? We could turn downtrend because we can draw a rate resistance line and it goes lower and lower, right? That's what we could do, right? For example, let's assume that it breaks this and we get something like this, like a channel resistance. So we could actually, all right, just go down and down and down. Does it make sense? Right? That is if we were to hit even lower. Or what we could do is that we could actually just move sideways. So we could just move sideways like this, right? And this is exactly what it did, right? It just moves sideways, up and down, up and down. It's just a sideways consolidation, which is fine, right? So it's a break of structure from an uptrend to a bit of a sideways trend, all right? So of course we can also draw like a resistance level. Let me just draw it for you. You can see this is a resistance level. So we got a horizontal support and a horizontal resistance level. So based on these two, right? So it turns from down to up to a sideways consolidation. So there's a break of structure here and here, all right? And now it's a sideways structure, all right? A consolidation, a sideways track. So where would be the next break of structure from like a sideways to either up or down? Well, as I say, right? If we were to kind of like, break above the resistance level, like what we see over here, well, that would be a positive thing. It means that you've broken the horizontal resistance, we could actually push higher. If instead we were to actually go up and down and we pump, right, we break below, right, the horizontal support, the sideways support, then not so good. It will be a break of structure to the downwards direction. So in this case, all right, we broke up, great, we started to push even higher. So when that happened, all right, can we see if there are higher lows that are formed? Well, there is a little bit of higher lows. So based on these higher lows, we can try to get what we call, right, the structure in terms of the uptrend direction. This is by drawing a line, same thing like what we see in this green line over here, right? Because we can just take and put it over here, or yeah, maybe it's about the same, but let me just draw another one. They draw another one. So that would be a line that connects the lows, right? So let me just put it in green color because that's a channel support. So you see rebounded. But let's take a look, right? So from a break of this sideways structure to an upwards direction, now you can see started to push up and up. And you can see that we finally have a break of structure right over here, break of structure back down. Does it make sense? Back down. So now we are starting to see weakness, right? In terms of the break of structure, all right? We went below this channel support line, right? Went below the channel support line, you see we are heading down and down. And here, the thing here is this, right? We have also kind of like broken below this level. Okay? Remember, this is the horizontal resistance level that we went above, and when we go above it, actually it could be what we call a support level as well. So I did just like turn this line to green in color right away. So from the resistance it became support, and you can see we actually went below this support level and went even lower. All right, so there's another break of structure, right? Not just by looking at a channel support, but a break of the horizontal, all right, support level. There was originally the resistance level. So this is what we call a break of structure. We can potentially see weakness. In fact, now we are, kind of like seeing weakness. We may do two things, right? Two things. So what are two things? Well, essentially the two things will be this, right? So we might just consolidate here, swing up and down in this range, all right? And hopefully we break back above the resistance at maybe 760, push higher, or we can also break this support at about 600 and push even lower. So that's exactly what can happen, right? So right now, based on this structure, right, we can actually draw a downward sloping channel resistance line, right? Something like this red line. You can see right over here, there's a red line. In fact, you can see, right, over here, we can also draw kind of like a red line, all right? Yeah, kind of like a little bit of resistance we get up, but it was moving sideways, so not much. But right over here, we can see you can draw a downward sloping red resistance line. So it kind of like, traded downwards quite firmly over the past 2 weeks because it broke, came down. But, we can actually draw, all right? We give it a few more days, it touches, goes down lower, rebound, goes down lower, then we can actually draw something like this red channel resistance line. And once we have that grid, that will mean that we have a downward structure, all right? And we can look for a break of this downward structure. Does it make sense? All right, so that's how you can take a look at, just by looking at the highs and lows, whether the stock is moving up and down, all right, whether are we above a green channel support line, sideways, all right, or maybe, all right, we have turned into a downwards structure in terms of a downtrend, all right? So let's move on and let me share with you guys as to how we can actually, look at structure in another way as well. So we'll talk about, higher lows, higher highs, lower lows and lower highs, right? But in terms of structure, what we can do is that, let me just remove everything, all right? And what we could do is that, I have this indicator called the One Good Trend Pro indicator, which actually gives us a very, very good idea of a structure of a stock, right? So we talk about, like horizontal support level. So there was a horizontal support it talks about, right? So very quickly, all right, as I mentioned just now, when we talk about structure, higher lows and higher highs. So when you have higher lows, it means that the support actually gets higher, all right? So if I can draw, let me show you what I mean. So this would be like a support level, all right? The support level, again, right over here, all right? You can see it's a support, and we have like another support here as well, all right? And maybe another support level. So look at this, right? So the support actually became higher. I mean, in the longer term, right? So I mentioned, look at this, right? So you can see that there's a support based on this. It goes higher, it's higher, higher, and higher. All right, of course, we kind of broke down the support, right? Right away, we broke down the support, and that's where we saw weakness, right? So there's a break of structure, obviously. So another way to look at structure would be, instead of looking at, the higher lows and higher highs, looking at the upward sloping channel support or even downward sloping channel resistance line, we can simply just look at the horizontal price level. So if you see kind of like a break of a structure in terms of a horizontal support level, like in this case, right, the support was getting higher and higher, all right? But finally, all right, over the past 1 of a month, you can see that we actually did not push to a higher support level and go to like 1,000 and stuff. I mean, we could actually break this support, for example, right? Let's assume that, the support goes higher. We could actually, consolidate and pump, right? Consolidate, pump, and it goes higher, and it goes higher, and the support gets higher and higher, right? But no, it didn't do that, right? What happens was, we, instead of going higher, we still kept below the resistance here at 880, and finally we broke down this support level, right? So that is a sign of weakness. So just by looking at horizontal price level. So another thing that we can look out for as well in terms of a structure would be to look at this thing called the trailing support. So all these are confirmations. So when we look at a chart, right, we want to get more confirmations, right? In terms of like 1 or 2 confirmations, I think that will be okay, but you have like 3 or 4 or 5 confirmations, right? Pointing to more upside or more downside, even better, all right? Even better, that would be where you get a confluence of many factors all pointing to a particular direction. That's where you're more confident on the trade, you have more conviction on the trades as well, right? So let me give you an example. So let's remove everything again, right? You can watch the replay if you're not too sure, but let's take a look at it at another dimension, right? Another market structure way of looking at it. So what we could do is that, I have this indicator right over here, and I could turn on what we call the trailing, all right? So of course, I have this horizontal support and resistance which I turn on, and you can see that, the click of the button, you can quite clearly see that the support actually got higher along the way, right? It got higher and higher, of course, as I mentioned, right? We kind of like broke the support and went down, right? So that's a horizontal support level. So that is a pretty good. That's why it gives you an idea of higher lows and higher highs, higher support levels as it moves forward. That is a good thing, all right? So let me just turn it off. And what happens is that we can now look at this thing called the trailing support or even trailing resistance. So this is another way of looking at market structure, right? Just by looking at the trailing support level. So what do I mean by a trailing? So for example, I'll not go too far, but right over here you can see that a trailing support basically, as the name says, right, it trails prices as it moved higher. It follows the price as it moved higher. If the stock move even higher, it follows it. So it's kind of like below the stock, right? It's below the price and it follows it as it goes higher. It only follows, it only goes up, it doesn't go down. That's a green trailing support line. So it goes higher, it goes higher, it goes higher, it goes higher. And on finally, of course, if we were to break down below the trailing support level. So this trailing support gives allowance, all right? It gives what we call a breathing space, right, for the stock to hopefully move even higher, right? It goes even higher as we'll follow it, right? So it gives the allowance. We account for volatility as well. You don't want to be too near, you don't want to be too far as well, and that is how it works, right? And of course, if we were to break below, all right, the trailing support line, well, that would be a break of structure. So we talk about, a break of a horizontal support, but in this case, a break of a trailing support will be much, much more significant because we are already giving, we are already taking into account volatility, right? We are already giving it breathing space and allowance, and yet it still goes below that trailing support. So there's a very clear break of structure, and when that happens, you see that we have a trailing resistance that follows and flip up, right, and go lower and lower, right? And same thing, right? That will be a break of structure from up to down. And how do we get a break of structure back up? Well, that will be if we were to actually, break back above this trailing resistance. So you can see it went down a little bit, right? And this trailing resistance follows it as it goes down. And finally, one fine day, we went above, right? We broke above this trailing resistance and it flipped. Of course, now we have a trailing support. Look at this, right? So the trailing support now, you can see it follows the prices of the stock as it moves up, right? So the higher it goes, it follows it up, and it doesn't go down, it just goes up. It follows it as it goes up, we give it space for it to move even higher, right? So there is a very clear structure right now whereby the trailing support is going higher and higher. Prices are above the trailing support, so it looks pretty good. That's why you want to take in positions. Ripe stocks like this, probably near a horizontal support if you can turn it on, right? Or maybe even near a trailing support level, right? That's where you want to ride it until, right, there is a break of structure. So, what I taught you just now will be, of course, we can, like, based on what I taught you just now, remember higher lows, right? Remember we actually draw this upward sloping channel support line, they connect the lows, and of course we broke below the low right over here. But to get a bit more confirmation, right, instead of just looking at a channel support line or horizontal support line, a trailing support line gives allowance. Of course, you can see finally over here we went below it after, right, in a 6 month we went below it. Well, that will be another confirmation of a very clear break of structure, because allowance is given and yet you break that structure, you break this trailing support. So you can see it moves sideways. Of course, it starts to consolidate. Remember, we mentioned that it moves sideways for a while, up and down consolidation, right? But let's see if there could be another move again whereby it started to move up, right? So a bit of sideways movement, and same thing right over here, we broke the trailing resistance, the structure changed, right, from the sideways to up and dizzy, right? So for like about 3-4 months, trailing support started to move up, give it space, and right over here, right, I mentioned that, we also drew what we call the upward sloping channel support line. If you remember, right, something like this, right? And plus we broke the channel support. But if you look at it another way, this is a break of structure, we actually also, broke the trailing support right over here. And of course, you can see the trailing resistance pops up, down, down, down. We are pretty much going lower, because when you flip to like a trailing resistance, you don't want to buy over here or here or here, because we are pretty much in a downward structure, right? We can hit lower and lower as long as we stay below this trailing resistance level. So you want to be careful until I'm not too sure exactly when, but until we consolidate and price moves up, and of course we have this trailing resistance line that follows, right? That follows, it will be in red in color. And one fine day, right, if we were to consolidate and we were to break up above, right, the trailing resistance, great, that is where we would flick, right, and there will be a break of structure. We'll break the trailing resistance, a new trailing support pops up, and that's where you could think about getting in again, right, in terms of a break of structure from down to up. But right now, obviously you can see the structure is downwards, it is in a downtrend. All right, we definitely don't want to get in right now until there's a clear break of structure from down to an upwards direction. All right, so I hope this video helps in terms of a very clear understanding of not just looking at higher lows and lower highs into like channel support or channel resistance, but also looking at it from horizontal support, all right, in terms of it getting higher. All right, and also now learning this new thing called trailing support. All right, so this is our indicator whereby you can simply turn it on with a click of a button and give you a quick opinion. Are there any break of structure based on this trailing support or the trailing resistance level? And if I can just show you right over here, right, I can also turn on what we call the buy and sell signals. So these buy and sell signals right over here, we see right a couple of buy signals right over here, bullish signals, right? You can see break rate became down, bullish signals, and let me show you why this bullish signal came out, right? Well, it has to do with the trailing support. Remember, we talked about this trailing support, right? So that we actually have a bullish signal or one GT bullish signal coming out, and another one in move up faster, and one move up faster. There was a break of a resistance, but the point is that there was clearly a break of structure. We got a bullish signal and off we went, right? Of course, a bit of consolidation, weakness, sideways a little bit. Let's take a look again. Tapering, got bullish signal, right? Break of structure back to upwards. Trading support follows prices. And look at this, right? We had two bearish signal coming out right over here. And down we went, all right, plus the trailing resistance, right? So you can see a break of structure, two bearish signals, and we are pushing lower. So probably not want to buy until we see like a bullish signal, a break of structure to the upwards direction. Well, that would be a confirmation. Of course, we look at other things like, the short-term trend and the longer-term trend as well. But today's video will be about structure, all right? This structure, lower highs, got higher lows, lower highs, lower lows, and of course, horizontal support, horizontal resistance. And now I think you have learned this new thing called the trailing support and resistance as to how I can use it for market structure. So I hope this video helps, and if you were to find out a little bit more into market structure and how it fits into my overall one good trend strategy, in short, it's called 1GT. Well, attend one of those free webinars that I'm running. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for it. In this way, I'll share with you guys my entire one good trend strategy, and more importantly, how perhaps you could have a indicator like this, right? With a click of a button, in a matter of seconds, you can tell and pull out not just the trailing support, all right, and see the structure of the stock, but also get bullish or even bearish signals to guide you when to get in and when to get out. So if you see like a bullish signals, well, that will be probably more confident for you to buy a stock. If you see like bearish signals, then you might want to be careful because we are in a downward structure like I've mentioned previously. All right, so yes, that's it for this video, guys. If you want to become a profitable trader as well, it's not the easiest thing in the world, all right? But if you have a place where you get all the knowledge that you need in one clear, 2 hours webinar, and start getting trades like this, well, what happens is you want to click on the link below the video, all right? You want to avoid tricks, wrong tricks that are not making you money, that are causing you losses. You want to be able to be profitable on a consistent basis. Well, check out the link in the description. Link is right there. Click on it, register for this free webinar, and I look forward to see you real soon. Joey here. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.